Hello, welcome to another little Friday studio demonstration painting. Today I'm going to do a short sketch, a warm-up sketch in oils. I'm using as a reference this little farmyard scene or farm meadow, and it's a part of South Africa that I visit quite often. And I think it has a good combination of the lights and darks and the color that I'm looking for. A nice focused little scene that should be fun to paint and a good warm up for a Friday morning, I think, before I get into the other jobs of the studio. So let's have a look at the easel and what's closer look there. Let's get our reference. Okay, so what MDF panel, and I've got my usual paints, ultramarine blue, some red, orange, burnt sienna, cadmium yellow, lemon, yellow ochre, some titanium white, and a bit of cerulean blue for the cool greens. First thing I'm going to do is get a warm wash on here, and for that I make a little medium, just some white spirits and some linseed oil. Put them in here, 50-50 ratio, and just with a large bristle brush, wet that up, get a little bit of that red, a little bit of yellow ochre, and just a very strong red, and just wash that over. The panel, because I'm going to be using a lot of green in this painting as well, so the red works nicely against that. Doesn't make the green quite as strong. And then with some tissue paper, I'm going to start just marking the highlight areas. Well, I don't want the wash in that thick. Little areas like that. And there I have a basic composition starting out already. And this dries pretty quickly, but if it's too wet, you can just take and dab here and there. So still using the large brush, number 10, I'm going to start putting in the dark areas, just big dark shapes with some blue and burnt sienna that make a nice dark. I don't use black, so I'll just start blocking in the darks. Nice dark in here. Bit of a cooler dark in this area. Doesn't have to be perfectly accurate. This is just a blocking in of the darks. You can easily go over all of this later on. Getting in all the shadows as well. Very important. Let's get a bit of light in there. And this building has brown or terracotta, but it's mostly in shade, so it's kind of cool terracotta. Rough that in. I got a pretty good idea of where things are going to go. And now I'm going to go into actually the middle values, the in-betweens, which are green colors, and just squint a bit and simplify those shapes. Not bringing any white paint into it just yet. So transparent color. All I need at this early stage. And we're not going to forget our sheep. Definitely got some sheep in here. I think once I need a bit of alizarin crimson in there, which makes a very nice violet. I'm just going to block in these sheep very simply, basic shapes. I will define those a little more later on. Get in the shadows. Right. Okay, now some of the lights, there are not a lot of lights in this painting, but what's in here is pretty strong. And we're just going to, this is our start bringing a bit of white in now to get these lights settled in. I'm now using a number 6 brush And I pretty much do the whole painting in number 6 for this size of painting. Right at the end, maybe a number 4, but it's not necessary. Number 6 and number 8 can handle most medium-sized paintings quite nicely. Very versatile if using a flat or a filbert, a long flat or filbert shape. Covers most things. As I said, this is just a studio sketch, a warm-up exercise. If I like the results later on, I can go over it and fine-tune it. Maybe I just like it as it is and leave it alone. No pressure, just play around. Get a bit more definition over here. Warm and cool colors. So these dark browns, they're dark, they're cool in color temperature, mostly in shadow. And there's a figure sitting there on the balcony, so we'll add him in much later. If you're not sure what a shape looks like, just squint a bit. Looks like a solar panel and something up there. The figure is going to go there. Nice cool colors in this hedge. Almost a violet. No darks at the bottom. Yeah, I must keep those in. Okay, so we're making progress. Well, this is pretty much now all blocked in. You can leave that if you want for a while and come back to it a little later, but try and work on it while it's still wet, because when it's wet you can manipulate the edges much better. I'm going to change brushes to do some highlight areas. So that's window frame. Okay, I think I've got described everything there in basic shapes, and now you can start getting in more of the color and try and work within those shapes and just define things a bit more and just have fun with it. Try and keep the paint nice and thick. I don't want too much detail, we don't want to worry. As I said, this is a warm-up sketch, get you sharpened up. A few highlights of the sun coming through, hitting the building. The dark greens. So you always got to re-establish the darks again because you tend to lose them in the blocking in. So come back, work those in a bit. And it also helps to model your shapes. As the sunlight hits the shapes, you want to get some of the modeling in there to describe your shapes a bit better. And of course, light against dark works very nicely. Well, dark trees in there. What we're doing is we're suggesting shapes. Not trying to paint these trees in any detail, I just want to suggest them. We all know basically what's there. Little orange, little cadmium lemon, ultramarine blue. That's a bit too light. These willows here are very cool green, so I'm bringing more cerulean blue, which is cooler than ultramarine. Those in. Bring them into the shadows. Shadows a bit more violet. Just roughly pull them in. I want to get a bit more details into this building. But I've got to keep the colors so cool. And if we get some shapes of this building in here, so what looks like the roof line. And the gutters. Pillars. And a few little highlights in there. The sun's coming through. How about these? Just drag in a few of these highlights for the grass. And what you can do is when the painting dries, you come over it with some thick paint and just drag it over and scumble in some highlights. Okay, well that's more or less what we can do at this early stage. As I said, just sketching this in. See if I can get little figure described a little better. Sitting here, steps of his balcony, watching the sunset. Seems like a nice way to spend the day. With these sheep, let's just give them a few highlights. Try and suggest their shapes a little better. All right, I think I've pretty much got our blocking in done. I can leave that now and come back to it a bit later, finish off some more details. Actually, we could get just a few more suggestion of shapes in there. So there it is, our little farm meadow. Okay, so well, I hope that gave you some indication of how I like to do a warm-up exercise, get started with the painting, and do a very simple, basic, structured painting with lights and darks and warm and cool color. And it's a lot of fun because there's no pressure to prepare a final painting. But I'll let that rest, and then if I like it, I might finish it off with a few touches here or there, or use it as a reference for a larger painting. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that, and maybe we'll see you again next Friday for another studio sketch. Till then, cheers.